Bangor is a borough located in Northampton County, and it was settled around 1750 as a farming community. The borough itself was incorporated in 1875. This is a map of Northampton County in Pennsylvania. The red highlighted area represents Bangor, which is located in the northeastern section of the county. This is a map of the Slate Belt region. As you can see, Bangor is the most centralized borough of the Slate Belt. Before 1958, Bangor was its own school district and only had kids from Bangor Borough go to the school in town. In 1958, it changed from Bangor School Districts to the Bangor Area School District, merging Bangor with East Bangor, Rosetto, Martin Creek, West Bangor, North Bangor, Mount Bethel, and Portland. By the late 19th century, Bangor and nearby communities of Wingap, Penargil, and Slateford were home to dozens of slate mining companies. Together, the combined area became known as the Slate Belt of Pennsylvania. The majority of people that came to Bangor were immigrants from European countries of England, Italy, Germany, and Wales. Some even came from Cornwall, and those people settled mostly in Penargil, which is a nearby town of Bangor that is still part of the Slate Belt. They were enticed by the American dream of freedom and initially thought that they should become prosperous from quarry jobs. Instead, they found hard hours of toiling and digging, often in extreme, difficult, and dangerous situations. When World War I began, many slate workers left the quarries to work jobs felt crucial to support war efforts. After introduction of other materials such as asbestos, slate shingles were replaced, which marked another rapid decline of the area's slate industry. Most of the slate quarries are closed today, if not all of them. This replica is of what a slate quarry may have looked like in the Slate Belt, and it is located at the Slate Belt Heritage Center in downtown Bangor on 1st Street. Also displayed in the Slate Belt Heritage Center are photos of slatemen working in the quarries. The founder of Bangor, Pennsylvania was Robert M. Jones, an immigrant from Bangor, Wales. This statue was made in image of Robert M. Jones and was dedicated in his honor on September 24, 1914. It continues to remain in the town center near Bangor Library and will forever represent the establishment of the slate industry in the borough, having been one of the founding fathers that put the Slate Belt on the map. By the late 19th century, Bangor and nearby communities of Wingap, Penargil, and Slateford were home to dozens of slate mining companies. Together, the combined area became known as the Slate Belt of Pennsylvania. Here we are in front of the Mr. Pasty, located in Penargil, Pennsylvania. Although Mr. Pasty is located in the nearby town of Bangor, the business is another representation of the Slate Belt culture. Producers of meat and cheese turnovers, Mr. Pasty recognizes the traditional dish in the coal mining regions of Pennsylvania as well as the Cornish communities in the area. The Welsh from Wales settled in Bangor, and the Cornish immigrants from Cornwall settled in Penargil. While working in the slate quarries, the quarrymen carried a pasty in a blicky, which is a metal lunch pail, for their lunch breaks, or as they called it, peace. The pasty had enough filling to satiate their hunger to provide energy to man through the quarries, and was condensed and small enough to fit in their blickies. This is Union Schoolhouse. It was built in 1858 and it went until 1922 when it shut down, like the sign said. It is part of the Bangor Area School District, and it is located out on the main drive with all the elementary schools and the new Bangor High School. From 1922 to the 70s, after it closed down, the building was used to store apples and pears. It later became a chicken coop until the Bangor area schools emerged on property. The school has been restored by A.J. Barsley, Troop 102, Eagle Scout Project. Okay, here we are in Flickville, just outside of Bangor. This was a one-room schoolhouse for the village of Flickville, and it has now been remodeled into a home. It still waves the American flag. Another side view of the Flickville one-room schoolhouse that's not a home. And right next to it is the Martin Creek. I'm assuming this is where they might have gotten the water for the days in school. What a prime location. We are at the Hunter Martin settlement of Lower Mount Bethel, Pennsylvania. The school is part of the Bangor Area School District. It was a one-room schoolhouse that was established in 1803. The significance of this school was that it was once used to teach children of Carlisle Indians whose parents were in the area for the summer. The name for the school was formed from Alexander Hunter and James Martin. Hunter settled in the area between Martin Creek and Richmond in 1728, and James Martin was one of the first county commissioners. The schoolhouse is referred at times as the Old Civil Defense Building, and it was jointly owned by Eastern Area School District and Mount Bethel Township before a museum movement took shape and building was turned over to the township for historical purposes. Here is a plaque of the Commissioners of Northampton County dated 1895. It is on the side of the Hunter Martin School. And to the right, you will see the outhouse that they must have used for their special needs. We would have loved to have been able to come inside and talk to them and interview those that worked at the museum here. That was once the one-room schoolhouse. However, as you can see, the sign posted in the window is that everything has been postponed because of the coronavirus. So maybe another time, and hopefully soon. We are at the cemetery right next to the Hunter Martin one-room schoolhouse that is now a museum. It is the Scottish Irish Presbyterian burial ground. The significance of this burial ground was the founders of the Hunter Martin School is buried here. I'm not sure which tombstones they are. If we can find them, that would be great. We can show them to you. But they have been known to be buried here.
Here we are at the Portland Schoolhouse, which is sandwiched between the northern border of the Northampton County and the start of Monroe County, which is located in Portland, Pennsylvania. The Portland Schoolhouse was built in 1886 and was designed to be similar to the Lincoln School in Bangor. The school was constructed to have 3 large rooms on the first and second floors and equipped with large chalkboards. The basement housed the indoor restroom. There was an office and typing room in the building, and even had a quiet room for students to go to read in peace. Eventually, the cafeteria was added in the basement. When it first opened, the Portland Schoolhouse K through 12, with junior and senior year being considered at the time as the high school. In 1947, high school grades got transported to Stroudsburg or East Stroudsburg until 1969, where they then went to Bangor High School. Portland high schoolers still go to Bangor today. Residents of the old Portland Schoolhouse recall how the bus would drop them off at the bottom of the hill, and the students would have to walk up the rest of the way in the morning, then back down the hill at the end of the school day to catch the bus for home. The school closed June 13, 1969, and has since been used as a municipal building. Today, the police headquarters, council chambers, water authority, and main office are on the first floor. The local scout troop hold their meetings on the second floor. In recent years, the schoolhouse has received notoriety for being used in scenes of the 2012 film My Best Day. The merry-go-round in the playground is the only original equipment still being used today. The playground was assembled in the 1940s and was updated in 2012. This building, alongside the Portland School, is the Portland Gymnasium. The gym was built during the Depression era. Residents share memories of the gym being used for community events such as the prom, high school talent shows, band concerts and plays, Christmas programs, and basketball games. The school and gym have been transformed into a haunted house for many years in their prime as well. The gymnasium is also not in operation today and remains mostly vacant and used for storage. There is hope in the town of Portland to someday bring it back to its glory. A unique tidbit of Portland is that it was home to Donald Yetter Gardner, the writer for the notorious Christmas song All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth, which was written in 1944. We are now at the McKinley Building. Back in the 1930s, when my grandmother went to school here, it was grades K through 6. Now my dad and my aunt went to school here as well. My aunt was born in 1949. My dad was born in 1951. When they went to school here, it was grades 1 through 4. This was one of the first consolidated schools in the area. And it is now not a school. It is now apartment buildings. There are 5 apartments in this building. But once upon a time, some decades ago, it was a beautiful school. And the building still stands majestically. My dad said that he used to walk to school here. They live not too far up the road here on Miller Street in Bangor. And my grandmother also had walked to school because she also lived not too far up the road here. And my dad said they walked in all kinds of weather to get to here. And back then, you didn't really take the buses too much unless you lived a little too far away. We are now at the old Roosevelt School on the corner of 8th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue in Bangor. The building was erected in 1906 and was named after our 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt. It is a 2-story structure made of red brick built on a fieldstone foundation. 6th grades were taught at the school. The building closed when the schools consolidated into the Bangor Area School District. It currently is used as an apartment building. We are at the East Bangor Public Schools. It originally was a one-room brick building. The East Bangor School was erected in 1865 on land donated by John Rutt on condition that German be taught as a second language. In 1909, a two-story, four-room addition completed the present-day eight-room building. The cafeteria was added in 1948 due to increase in enrollment. After East Bangor joined the Bangor School District in 1962, a few years later in 1969, closed its doors when students were transferred to the Five Points complex. Colonial Intermediate Unit 20 used the building for the next 3 years from 1969 to 1971. Today, it is the East Bangor Borough Building. This lot here was the home of Bangor Area High School until 1962, when the new high school was built out in the Five Points complex. The original building was built in 1926 and housed the first high school vocational agricultural curriculum in eastern Pennsylvania. Following the opening of the new high school in the Five Points complex, the building became an elementary school known as Bangor Elementary Center with grades kindergarten through 6th grade. The Bangor Elementary Center also had a pre-first curriculum for many years for those children who needed extra support after kindergarten to help them gain the skills they needed to grow and mature for 1st grade. In 1989, the school closed its doors and the children were dispersed in Washington Elementary and Five Points Elementary Schools for kindergarten through 4th grade and DeFranco Elementary School for 5th and 6th grade. Due to the asbestos, the schools was razed down in 1992. If you look over to the right of the lot, that also stands empty. This used to have the Lincoln School. The Lincoln School was the second building that sat next to the original Bangor High School. The original Lincoln School was erected in 1875. After being destroyed by fire, a second building was erected in its place in 1895 and was in use for over 75 years, serving as the elementary school in downtown Bangor. However, the building could not withstand the test of time and was demolished in June 1989. The spirit of the school lived on in the Five Points Elementary School as the bell from the Lincoln School was restored and now proudly displayed in the Donald B. Keith Library of the Five Points Elementary School. This picture shows the Bangor and Lincoln schools that were on 4th Street in Bangor. The building on the left by Market Street was the Lincoln School, and the building on the right by Broadway was the high school. The middle was the original higher grade schools from 7 to 12 until 1919, when the building was added on by the right side. We are in the town of Rosetto. Rosetto is actually not a town. It's a borough that is part of the Bangor School District. Rosetto was founded by the Italian immigrants of the Slate Belt and was incorporated in 1912. Rosetto means rose garden in Italian and was named for a village of Rosetto, Balfortor. The first Italian immigrants arrived in 1882 from the Rosetto Balfortor to work in the slate quarries. After it became a borough in 1912, other things that had established here had been the Rosetto Bakery, which is known for their famous tomato pie. Here we are at Pius S. High School. I know that we are doing a presentation on the elementary schools in our area. However, I wanted to give a little bit of a nod to the religious affiliations in our town. Pius S. High School was a private school that was formed in 1951 for the Roman Catholic affiliated students. It is now not open. It is closed because due to the declining enrollment, the student was forced to close its doors on June 2nd, 2015. At the time, the enrollment had dropped to 165 students in grades 7 through 12, with the final senior class only consisting of 46 students. Students of grades 7 through 11 were forced to transfer to other nearby public-private schools upon the school closure. Across from the Pius S. High School waved two flags, the American flag with the Italian flag and the cross on top. The cross represents the religious affiliations of the Roman Catholic, and the Italian flag represents the Italian immigrants that settled in this town of Rosetto. We are now in front of the Our Lady of Mount Carmel School. Our Lady of Mount Carmel was a private Catholic elementary school for grades K through 6 in Rosetto. Sadly, they also closed its doors along with Pius S. High School in June 2015. Catholic education still remains available to those families that want their children to receive it in a nearby Slate Belt town of Penargil at Immaculate Conception School. Other options are also available outside the Slate Belt, such as Notre Dame in Bethlehem and Allentown Central Catholic High School. This is another view of the Our Lady of Mount Carmel School. As you can see, the statue of Jesus Christ represents the religious affiliation. It's right in front of the church, where the Roman Catholic kids may have gone to private school in our area before it shut down. If you look over to the right, you'll see up on the hill there the statue of the Virgin Mary and some children kneeling and praying. And that also represents the Roman Catholic affiliation. We are now at the Faith Christian School. Faith Christian School is a Christian private school located in Rosetto, Pennsylvania. It is the last of the religious affiliated schools that I'm going to present in the presentation. In March of 1980, a group of Christian parents from the Slate Belt and the Poconos saw a need for a Christ-centered education without acknowledging a specific church's denomination. Upon visiting this building, which was the old Columbus School, they found the spiritual revelation to make this happen. The renovations began to upgrade the school, and in September of the same year, they opened the school, and it continues today as the area's Christian-based private school. When it was originally built in 1913, it was a public school in Rosetto, and it was originally known as the Rosetto Public School before it became Columbus School. My dad remembers going here for kindergarten and again for 5th and 6th grade. It operated as an elementary school until 1978, when it closed to newer schools built in the Bangor district. Here we have a sign for enrollment. If anybody is interested in having any of their children enrolled to get a Christian perspective, there's the number and the email address, and it does house grades K through 12. I thought this was interesting as we walked around the building. It is a plaque of the Ten Commandments. It also represents the religious affiliation of the school and the fact that it is a Christian school. Here we have Washington Elementary School. This is one of the schools that are still in operation today. It has kindergarten through 4th grade in it. This part where these fine people are walking in front of me, it's part of the new section of the school. If you take a walk over here, this is the original part of the school for when it was erected. We are at DeFranco Elementary School. This is the newest elementary school in the Bangor School District. It houses 5th and 6th grade middle school before they go to the big middle school, but it's still considered elementary. 2 years ago, back in the 2018-2019 school year, however, it did house the 4th grade as well when the 5 Points Elementary School was getting remodeled. They needed to put the 4th grade into this school. And the 3rd grade from 5 Point School ended up going to Washington Elementary School. But it is currently back to its norm, and we now have 5th and 6th grade in here again. Here we are at 5 Point Elementary School. This is one of our current elementary schools in the Bangor area school district. Washington Elementary School is the other one. This school houses kindergarten through 3rd grade. 2 years ago, this was the school that underwent the upgrades and modernized because the school was built in 1967. So it was pretty outdated. I wish COVID wasn't going on. We could go inside and maybe see some of the upgrades. I have actually had the privilege of coming here after it had its upgrades, and it's absolutely beautiful inside. So I'm sorry that we're not able to go and see what's going on in there now. If you look down here in the corner, you will see a little bit of a garden. As we get closer to it, there is a sign that will tell you about the garden. My daughter told me that while she was in the DeFranco school, the DeFranco kids used this garden to grow some things, even though it's on the 5 Points property. It's actually the DeFranco's garden. Right now, they don't have anything in them. And hopefully, once everything gets done with COVID-19 pandemic and we get back to normal, we'll be able to have some wonderful crop again that these great kids have grown for the community. This also symbolizes some of the agricultural heritage of our area. It goes back to the colonial times of Bangor being founded and settled for agriculture. So it's really neat to actually see that the schools are trying to keep that spirit alive. I'm not quite sure what was planted here. I'm assuming it might be this tree. But I found this plaque quite interesting, considering it was planted by this year's graduating class. Almost like a time capsule. So I thought it was interesting to add this in. And this is in front of the 5 Points Elementary School as well. This plaque is another indication of our heritage with the agriculture in our town. This is one of the classrooms in 5 Points Elementary School. I don't know what grade or what class. I'm wondering if this is set up like this to help them social distance when we go back to school. Quite a still day today. The flag isn't waving too much, but it still stands proud in front of the schools, representing the town's patriotism and respect for our country. Some of the special parking in front of the school at 5 Points.
your troubles and doubts, given everything inside and out, and love strange, surreal in the dark. Think of the tender things that we were working on. Slow change may pull us apart when the light gets into your heart, baby. Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. Will you stand above me? Look my way, never love me. Rain keeps falling down, down, down. Will you recognize me? Call my name or one more night. Rain keeps falling down, 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 down. Hey, 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 hey.
This used to be my playground. This used to be my childhood. the place I ran to whenever I was in need of a friend. Why did it have to end? And why do they always say, don't look back? Keep your head held high. Don't ask them why, because life is short. And before you know, you're feeling old and your heart is breaking. Don't hold on to the past. Well, that's too much to ask.